Hey guys, it's your boy Brandon.
And it's your girl Jill.
I'm Jessica.
I'm Kat. I'm Sarah.
And I'm Christian.
We went to the Youth Substance Abuse Program, also known as YSAP.
It's located on 7 Bonley Street, which is in downtown Toronto. If you guys know the area, it's actually right by Graffiti Alley.
And there we interviewed Jennifer and Kamika, who are 2 of the counselors at YSAP.
Yes, and while we were there, we found a few things really interesting. One was that this service, or the shelter, only holds young men. And this also includes the LGBTQ2S community. The shelter also has a total of 40 beds, and it's usually at capacity every day. And also that there are 8 substance use workers at YSAP. And overall, we kind of felt like the philosophy was quite interesting. This is in representation of the harm reduction approach.
Alright, so I'm going to be talking about more of a description along what YSAP actually does in terms of helping youth in their facilities. So YSAP is better known as the Youth Substance Abuse Program. It is a non-residential program that meets the needs of young people who are looking for support with substance use issues and issues of homelessness. YSAP provides youth with assessment and referrals, individual counseling, harm reduction supplies, and educational workshops. So there's one thing to note with YSAP is that they don't actually condemn the use of drugs, but they much rather look through the eyes of a user and try to provide ways to use drugs safely. So YSAP services 2 types of clients. So there's court appointed, so they come in and they do about 5 sessions with a counselor. And then there's community-based clients, so that counts as drop-ins, meeting youth in the community, etc. So YSAP is also very flexible when it comes to meeting youth in the community. They provide in-community meetups and provide youth with the tools they need to ensure safe substance abuse practices. So with YSAP, they actually provide services from ages 14 to 24, but unfortunately, when they turn 25, those services are no longer provided by YSAP. So as of right now, YSAP offers 5 locations. So there's 3 locations in Toronto, 1 in Scarborough, 1 in North York, and 1 in Central York. There's 1 location in Mississauga, and there's 1 location in the Brampton-Caledon region.
We're going to be doing a scavenger hunt for our activity, and basically the instructions are we're going to provide you with the web link of the organization's brochure, and you'll see it here. So now that you know where the brochure is at, the information there you're going to be using to answer the questions that we have for you. So feel free to pause the video and answer the questions, because these questions could be in the exam. You don't know, it's going to definitely help you out, so let's do it all together. So first question is, how many locations does Youth Substance Abuse Program, aka YSAP, have? Question 2. Serotonin loss, psychological dependence, and anxiety and panic attacks are long-term effects of A. MDMA, B. Benzodiazepine, C. Ketamine, D. Cannabis. 3. True or false? Mixing opiates with other stimulants drastically increases likelihood of overdose. 4. What are 3 harm reduction strategies for cocaine and or crack cocaine? 5. What age group is this guide designed for? 6. Fill in the blank. By drinking blank, you can stay blank and avoid heat blank and blank exhaustion. Number 7. Which of the following is not a long-term effect of methamphetamine? Is it A. paranoid feelings, hallucinations, and or psychosis. B, blacken or rot the teeth of the teeth. C, irregular heartbeat or stroke. D, intense, pleasurable, and euphoric high. 8. Which of the following is a standard drink size? Is it A, 341 milliliters of wine, or is it B, 142 milliliters of beer, or is it C, 43 milliliters of liquor? Number 9. True or false? The harm reduction philosophy allows staff to assist youth to make smarter, healthier, safer choices in their lives regardless of their stage of change. 10. What substances is commonly referred to as the date rape drug? Fill in the blank for number 11. Blank term regular use should be blank gradually with blank supervision. Number 12. True or false? Increased anxiety, impaired or reduced short-term memory, and sleep disruptions all are short-term effects of cannabis use. Number 13. What are the 3 classifications of substances? Number 14. What are the substances that this brochure covers? There should be 11 of them. Hint, hint, wink, wink. 15. On what page are the resources located? So there are our questions, and I hope you're able to answer them. If you're having difficulties looking for some, we're going to provide the answers along this video, so please stay tuned. And education is power, so let's do this.
Alrighty guys, so the philosophy of YSAP is focused on harm reduction. Some philosophies that they vocalize to the youth include limiting the amount of substances used and avoiding mixing substances or choosing not to use substances altogether. Drinking water to stay hydrated because many of the drugs used do dehydrate the body. Surrounding yourself with positive influences because the positive influences you surround yourself by help you to overcome obstacles and adversity that you're facing as well as to overcome your addiction. It's better to use a substance in an environment where you feel safe. Not only is that good for yourself, but you would also know that if the environment's safe, you're less likely at risk to come into any other harm. And you also want to make sure you're disposing of the equipment used and always using unused equipment to reduce the chances of infection.
Okay, so today we are gonna walk through the safe injection kit that was given to us from YSAP, who they received it from the works. So first in the safe injection kit, we have this little tips for safer injection booklet. This comes in every kit to help youth use substance properly. Next we have some blue rubber bands. These are to tie around the arm to help find a vein to also support with safer injection. Here we have some sterile needles, which as you can see still have the cap on to show that they have not been used before. And next we have some needle sterilizer, which you can just dip the needle in to make sure it is sterile before using. Here we have some steri cups or bowl pieces, which can be used to melt the drugs. There are a few different colors, as we can see here. This is to not confuse the drugs if you're using with other people. And we also have some alcohol wipes to also prep the skin before injection. And finally, we have some filters. All right, so guys, the program shares very similar philosophies to those of CYC practice. Kamika and Jennifer, who are the 2 people we went and interviewed, talked a lot about areas similar to the GARFA and Fulter 25 characteristics of CYC practice. The very first one that they actually touched on when talking about YSAP was meeting a youth where they're at. So if a youth is still using substances, a lot of the times a YSAP counselor will provide them with safer substance use kits. Rather than telling them to stop using the substance, they'll just support them with where they're at in their lives and what they need. They also discussed flexibility and individuality, so they will always take into consideration how a youth enters the program and the frequency of visits. So if a youth wants to come once a month, once every 3 months, once every 6 months, that's totally fine. And they will also always examine the context of a youth. They will provide support and examine the context of each and every youth who enters the program. So whether it's through a court-mandated approach or voluntary, they will look at the drop-ins, the counseling, and the shelter support that they might need. So YSAP also focuses on child-centered programming. So this is also very aligned with child and youth care practice. YSAP overall fits very well with CYC practice and philosophy. Kamika and Jennifer continually supported CYC philosophy and reiterated information we have learned throughout our program and supported our overall characteristics that we have been taught. YSAP aligns perfectly with the CYC philosophy.
Alrighty, so we're going to touch quickly on the technical and behavioral competencies that YSAP has. So YSAP overall actively strives to meet the behavioral competencies set forth by the Canadian Substance Abuse Workforce Policies. The integration is actually derived from the fact that the program focuses heavily from a harm reduction perspective and person-centered counseling. Both Kamika and Jennifer mentioned that they are always looking for new ways to educate themselves and the youth that they work with. In doing so, they continue to develop technical and behavioral competencies throughout their processes.
Alright, so we're going to be talking about Addictions Ontario best practices.
And the best practices that we're going to focus on are orientation to client, approach to practice, and appreciating the context. So with regard to orientation to client, Addictions Ontario recommends that the work is individualized and client-centered, respect the youth's motivation for treatment, involve the family as much as the client wants, and consider the youth's system of relationships. So a large part of YSAP's harm reduction strategy is being as client-centered as they can be. Counseling at YSAP is individual, hands-on, and depends on the needs of the client.
So counseling is usually weekly or bi-weekly, and the length of the relationship is entirely dependent on the client and what they prefer. YSAP maintains a strong youth focus by having the willingness to meet them at their community, so where they're at. The parents of the youth as well as professionals are involved as necessary as required.
The next best practice we're going to talk about is approach to practice. So Addictions Ontario recommends that practice with youth involved with substances have an explicit framework that directs practice and leads to demonstrable outcomes, uses a holistic and biopsychosocial approach, use a harm reduction approach, and be strengths-based and experiential, and focus on skill building. YSAP's approach to practice places high priority on harm reduction strategies and the individual needs of the youth.
So the approach to practice underlines the success of the client. YSAP counselors aim to provide the services to the youth's request and encourages youth to set their own goals. Harm reduction strategies involve reducing harm in areas of their life that they feel necessary. In doing this, counselors look at the individual's needs, vulnerabilities, and etc.
The last best practice we're going to talk about is appreciating the context. So that involves providing safe and respectful service, involving youth in meaningful ways of service development, recognizing that the youth are not a homogeneous group, and manage tensions amongst client needs. YSAP counselors use a strengths-based approach, like I said, amongst their clients.
Youth are involved in program and participate in ongoing activities such as being involved in the breakfast program and taking a leadership role in assisting homework. YSAP also ensures that the life space of the youth is safe and therapeutic environment. Counselors make it a priority to be approachable to the clients and provide different methods of counseling such as individual or medical counseling.
YSAP, check education presentation. We provided you with important information.
Information education, there's 5 locations. Harm reduction strategies for your families.
Learn it, do it, CYC's rule it. Jennifer Kamika had the best technique.
Safe injection kits, cause you know it's lit. This be the end of our rap summary. Shout outs to our CYC.
Don't think we forgot about you.